Hey, Sean, 2020 Vision, co-creating breakthroughs and dreams, crushing fear and distortion. Here we go. So a question keeps coming up is like, what is knowingness? You saying the word knowingness a lot, what is it? Well, here's my definition of knowingness. Knowingness is coming to a place of thinking we know when we don't. It's thinking we see when we don't. That's what knowingness is. And so many people, going all the way back to when I first began my journey in athletics as a kid, I went to a sports psychologist when I was 16. My friends in the room had knowingness. They laid on the ground, the lights got turned out by the sports psychologist in the situation, right? And everybody laid down, right? We're on the ground, and the guy goes, okay, everybody visualize and imagine and think about like your fantasy situation. And 16-year-olds, of course, were sitting there thinking, right, about something gross and stupid. But I was locked in. I was focused. I wasn't coming from a place of knowingness. Then I had amazing coaches. I had the greatest high school coaches in the world. But there was one little tweak that I would have wished from many of the other players. That's with baseball. They said, don't lift weights. And I'm looking at like Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco, and they're gigantic and powerful and strong, and they hit home runs all over the place. And yes, they may have been taking steroids. I don't know if they were or not, but regardless of steroids, weightlifting clearly had a positive effect on what they were doing. So I'm like, I'm gonna lift weights. And all of a sudden I have massive breakthroughs in my acceleration. Same thing happens in law school. Same thing happens when I come out and I decide I'm gonna go to read Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, and I was gonna go to a seminar, I was gonna hire coaches. In each of those stages, people around me had knowingness and said, hey, you know what, like that's a bunch of nonsense and blah, 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 right? As I kept accelerating past where they were, beautiful souls, kind people, wonderful people. So here's knowingness to me today. I meet Rob Gill. He's full of knowingness. He's a great friend, nice person. He's coming, I love your speaking. I love what you're up to, man. Like, it's great. Like, you know, he's putting things on social media. He had no idea what I was talking about because he was a great salesperson. And Rob thought already that he knew everything there was to know about sales. And he was a genius and made a ton of money in that space. And then finally I said, dude, you keep saying how much you love my stuff. What are the 3 components of the results formula? What are the 4 steps of integrity-based human influence? What are the 10 indispensable elements? Now I'd say, what are the 4 energies? What is process mastery and its components? And he had no idea. I'm like, don't say that you love my stuff if you have no idea what you're talking about. I love you, you're a friend, but you don't love my stuff, right? You love the idea of like, maybe I motivate you and I inspire you. That's the last thing in the world that I want to be like, only that. Like, that's not what I stand for in the world. So the disruption for knowingness is saying I can learn something more and realizing this. I say it a lot, but here it is again. Mastery stands for this. When you're already good or great at something, especially great, and you get a tiny bit better, there's massive exponential acceleration that occurs. Now let me be specific. The greatest superpower that people can unleash is their ability to go with integrity from hello to yes with people. Hello to yes. There is enormous knowingness. Knowingness like, well, that's not possible. Totally untrue. Knowingness like, well, I don't really think you could teach me. Totally untrue. And especially knowingness of like, I'm just what I am in my speaking. Like, I'm pretty good with people. It's what I am. There's nowhere else to go. And that's completely insane. Motivation and inspiration are critical. They're valuable. I call it self-mastery, your ability to get yourself to act. Hugely important. But what is every bit as important? Because you could be as fired up as possible. You could go look for the right meetings and try to meet the right people. The ability to go from hello to yes with human beings is the most attainable superpower that differentiates income in this world. Oprah makes insane amounts more money than other people with talk shows who make insane amounts more money than people that are sitting at a desk somewhere. Not criticizing people, but the ability to influence with integrity is the most valued, highly priced skill set. The engineers, the most brilliant people, work for the influencers. They work for them. The smartest people on earth at making mathematical and engineering breakthroughs work for the people who can sell their ideas, share their ideas, communicate with people and raise money. That is who rules a capitalist system. So if you want acceleration, disrupt knowingness. Know that there's other stuff and forget about, as Jay Abraham says, intellectual entertainment. Intellectual entertainment is like, oh, I read this great book, like, about like this stuff. Did you read that? It was like so inspiring. Great to be inspired. That's not going to help you create acceleration in your business specifically and unlock your superpower. So let's disrupt knowingness, right? Knowingness is the beginning of how we disrupt fear and distortion. Let's crush it. We're all blind and just learn to say, hey, I'm Sean Callagy.